Welcome back, collectors and coin enthusiasts. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of United Kingdom sixpence coins, highlighting the top 5 most valuable sixpences based on their year, condition, and mint marks. These coins may have started as small change in everyday transactions, but today they are treasures that can fetch impressive sums at auctions. Let's get started. First up, the United Kingdom sixpence dated 1955, specifically in circulated condition. Often overlooked because of its small size, the sixpence, fondly known as the tanner, holds an important place in British monetary history. In this video, we'll uncover why the 1955 sixpence still attracts collectors, how circulation affects its desirability, and what kind of auction market value it can reach today in US dollars. Whether you found one in an old drawer or inherited it from a family member, this coin may be more interesting than you think. The sixpence was first introduced in England during the reign of Edward VI in the 16th century and remained in use for centuries. By 1955, the sixpence was a well-established part of everyday life in the United Kingdom, valued at 6 old pence, or 1/40th of a pound. The 1955 issue was struck during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, early in her historic and long-lasting rule. At this time, Britain was still recovering from World War II, and coins like the sixpence played a vital role in daily commerce. Millions were minted for circulation, making the coin common at the time, yet decades later, surviving examples tell a story of post-war Britain and traditional coinage before decimalisation in 1971. The 1955 UK sixpence is made from cupronickel, a durable alloy chosen to withstand heavy circulation. On the obverse, it features the young portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick, facing right. This portrait is especially admired by collectors for its elegance and historical importance, as it represents the Queen's first official coinage portrait. The reverse displays a crown design combining a rose, thistle, shamrock, and leek, symbolizing England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales united under the crown. The coin has a reeded edge, a silver-like appearance when fresh, and a compact size that made it easy to carry in everyday pockets and circulated condition. The 1955 sixpence is not considered extremely rare, as large numbers were originally produced. However, collector demand still exists, especially for examples that show even wear without severe damage. Coins that are heavily worn, bent, scratched, or corroded are less desirable, but they still attract interest from beginner collectors or those completing date sets. What adds appeal is the age of the coin, its royal portrait, and its connection to a vanished monetary system. Even circulated examples serve as affordable entry points into British coin collecting and remain popular in international markets, including the United States. When it comes to auction market value, a circulated 1955 UK sixpence typically sells for around $433,000, depending on condition and demand. Coins with moderate wear but clear details often fetch prices at the higher end of that range, especially in online auctions. Heavily worn or damaged examples may sell for under $1, while unusually attractive circulated coins can occasionally exceed $5. Higher values are seen only in uncirculated or proof-like conditions, but even circulated pieces maintain steady interest due to their affordability and historical charm. If you own a 1955 sixpence, avoid cleaning it, as cleaning can significantly reduce collector value. Store the coin in a protective holder to prevent further wear or corrosion. When buying or selling, compare recent auction results rather than fixed prices, as demand can fluctuate. Look closely at the portrait and reverse symbols. Coins with sharper details are always more desirable. Finally, consider the sixpence as part of a larger collection of pre-decimal British coins, where its value grows through historical context rather than rarity alone. In conclusion, the United Kingdom sixpence from 1955 in circulated condition may not be a rare treasure worth hundreds of dollars, but it is a meaningful and collectible piece of British history. Its royal portrait, national symbolism, and connection to everyday life in post-war Britain make it a favourite among collectors worldwide. With auction values typically ranging from $114,000, it remains an accessible and enjoyable coin to own. If you appreciate history, tradition, and classic coin design, the 1955 sixpence is a small coin with a big story. Next up, the United Kingdom sixpence dated 1957, examined specifically in fine condition. While the sixpence is often remembered as a small and humble coin, certain years hold special importance for collectors. The 1957 sixpence is one such example, combining post-war British history, traditional design, and steady collector interest. In this video, we will explore its background, design features, rarity, demand even in damaged condition, and most importantly, its current auction market value expressed in US dollars. Stay tuned until the end for useful tips if you own or plan to collect this coin. The sixpence has a long and fascinating history in the United Kingdom, dating back to the reign of Edward VI in the 16th century. By the time the 1957 sixpence was issued, Britain was still recovering from the effects of World War II, and the nation was undergoing economic and social change. The coin was struck during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, whose portrait appeared on British coinage for the first time in 1953. The 1957 issue belongs to the pre-decimal currency system, where 12 pence made up 1 shilling and 20 shillings made £1. Although millions of sixpence coins were minted in 1957, many were heavily circulated, spent, and worn down over time, making well-preserved examples increasingly desirable today. The 1957 sixpence is composed of cupronickel, a durable alloy that replaced silver in earlier sixpence issues. On the obverse, the coin features the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick. This elegant and iconic portrait is highly regarded by collectors for its simplicity and historical significance as the Queen's first official effigy on circulating coinage. The reverse design displays a crowned group of interlinked plants representing the floral emblems of the United Kingdom: the rose for England, the thistle for Scotland, the shamrock for Ireland, and the leek for Wales. In fine condition, these details remain clearly visible, with moderate wear that still preserves the overall design and lettering, making the coin attractive for both beginner and intermediate collectors. In general, the 1957 sixpence is not considered extremely rare in absolute terms, but its availability drops sharply when condition is taken into account. Many surviving examples are heavily worn, scratched, or corroded due to decades of circulation and storage. Even in damaged or heavily circulated condition, there is still steady collector demand, particularly among those assembling complete date sets of sixpence coins or collections focused on early Elizabeth II coinage. Coins with bent edges, surface marks, or dark toning may still hold value, especially if the date and major design elements remain readable. This consistent interest helps maintain a baseline value for the coin, even when condition is far from perfect. When it comes to auction market value, the 1957 UK sixpence in fine condition typically sells within a modest but stable price range. In recent auctions and online marketplaces, fine condition examples often fetch between $424,000, depending on eye appeal, strike quality, and overall preservation. Coins closer to very fine condition, with sharper details and less wear, may occasionally sell for slightly higher amounts. Damaged or heavily worn examples usually trade for under $1, while uncirculated or proof-like examples can command significantly higher prices, sometimes reaching $114,000 or more. These values reflect collector interest rather than precious metal content, as the coin contains no silver. If you are considering collecting or selling a 1957 sixpence, condition is key. Always examine the coin under good lighting and magnification to assess wear, scratches, and corrosion. Avoid harsh cleaning, as improper cleaning can significantly reduce the coin's value. Storing the coin in a protective holder or coin flip will help preserve its condition over time. For sellers, researching recent auction results can provide a realistic expectation of market value. For collectors, purchasing certified examples or buying from reputable dealers can reduce the risk of overpaying. Completing a full run of Elizabeth II sixpence coins can also enhance the overall value and enjoyment of your collection. In conclusion, the United Kingdom sixpence dated 1957 may appear modest at first glance, but it carries meaningful historical value and steady collector appeal. In fine condition, it represents a well-preserved example of Britain's post-war coinage and the early years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. While not among the rarest British coins, its demand remains consistent, and its auction market value in dollars reflects its place in numismatic history. Whether you are a seasoned collector or just starting out, the 1957 sixpence is a charming and accessible coin worth appreciating. Next up, the United Kingdom sixpence coin from 1956, specifically focusing on coins that have survived in rusty or heavily worn condition. While a pristine coin may catch the eye immediately, even a rusty 1956 sixpence has its own story to tell, carrying the history of mid-20th century Britain and the legacy of British coinage. In this video, we'll cover the coin's history, unique features, rarity and damaged condition, current market value in dollars, and practical tips for collectors looking to add one to their collection. The sixpence coin has been a staple of British currency for centuries, originally introduced in the 16th century. By 1956, the coin was still widely circulated and held a value of 6 old pence, which was equivalent to 1/40th of a pound. The 1956 sixpence was minted during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, who had ascended the throne just a few years prior in 1952. These coins were produced primarily at the Royal Mint in London and were composed of 50% silver and 50% copper, giving them a subtle shine that has dulled over time, especially in coins exposed to the elements or improper storage. The sixpence itself was not just currency, it held cultural significance as well, often used in weddings for the traditional something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, and a sixpence in the shoe custom. The 1956 sixpence has several distinctive features that make it identifiable even in rusty condition. On the obverse, it bears the young portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, facing right, surrounded by the inscription Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina F laughing smiley colon, a Latin abbreviation meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. The reverse features a crowned numeral 6, encircled by a wreath of oak leaves, symbolizing strength and endurance, along with the word sixpence and the year 1956 at the bottom. Even when rusted or corroded, these design elements can often still be discerned with careful examination, providing collectors with essential authentication markers. While uncirculated or high-grade 1956 sixpences are sought after for their silver content and historical value, rusty or heavily worn examples are rarer in their own right. Most coins in circulation during the 1950s were handled extensively, and many have been lost, melted down, or cleaned improperly over the decades. Finding a 1956 sixpence that is still intact, even in rusty condition, can be challenging. Collectors interested in these coins often value them for their authenticity and the story each imperfection tells, reflecting decades of handling, exposure, and environmental effects. Interestingly, the rust itself can sometimes add a unique character to the coin, distinguishing it from other circulated examples that may appear overly polished or artificially preserved. The market value of a rusty 1956 sixpence varies depending on the extent of damage, legibility of details, and demand at auction. In today's market, a heavily worn or rusted 1956 sixpence might sell for anywhere between $324,000. Coins that retain clearer details, despite surface corrosion, can fetch slightly higher prices, particularly if the rust has created an unusual patina that appeals to collectors looking for unique pieces. For comparison, a well-preserved or uncirculated 1956 sixpence can command anywhere from $30 to $221,000 or more at auction, depending on the silver content and demand. Auction houses and online marketplaces such as eBay and heritage auctions often provide insight into how these coins are currently valued, with prices fluctuating based on rarity, condition, and collector interest. If you're considering collecting a 1956 sixpence in rusty condition, there are several tips to keep in mind. First, always verify the authenticity of the coin by examining key design features and the metal composition, especially if buying online. Second, avoid attempting to clean the coin with harsh chemicals, as this can reduce its value significantly. Mild brushing to remove loose dirt is acceptable, but preserving the natural patina is preferable. Third, store the coin in a cool, dry environment using acid-free holders or capsules to prevent further corrosion. Lastly, consider the historical context and the story behind each coin. Collectors often value pieces not just for their monetary worth, but for the unique journey each coin represents through time. In summary, the 1956 United Kingdom sixpence in rusty condition is more than just an old coin, it's a tangible piece of British history. From its cultural significance to its distinctive design and the stories told through its wear and corrosion, even a damaged sixpence has value to collectors and historians alike. While its market price may be modest compared to pristine examples, its rarity and character make it a worthy addition to any collection. Whether you are a seasoned collector or a newcomer to the world of numismatics, the 1956 sixpence reminds us that history is not always shiny and perfect sometimes. Next up, the United Kingdom sixpence from 1963, specifically in circulated condition. Often called a tanner by collectors and historians alike, the sixpence is a small yet significant coin with a rich history that stretches back centuries. In this video, we'll explore why the 1963 sixpence remains an interesting piece for collectors, discuss its unique design features, examine its rarity even in circulated condition, and look at its current auction market value in US dollars. Whether you've stumbled upon one in your change or are considering adding it to your collection, this coin has a story worth knowing. The sixpence has a long history in British currency, dating back to the reign of Edward VI in the 16th century. By 1963, it was a well-established part of everyday transactions in the UK, worth 6 old pence, or 1/40th of a pound. The coin was struck under the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, during the early years of her reign, when Britain was modernising after the post-war era. The 1963 sixpence represents the last decade before decimalisation in 1971, making it an important artifact from a transitional period in British monetary history. Millions were minted for circulation, so while the coin isn't rare in general, it holds historical significance that makes it desirable for collectors. The 1963 sixpence is made from cupronickel, a durable alloy introduced in 1947 to replace the silver sixpences. On the obverse, it features the young portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick, facing right. This portrait is widely admired for its elegance and historical importance, as it captures the Queen early in her reign. The reverse displays the traditional crown design incorporating a rose, thistle, shamrock, and leek, representing England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. The coin has a reeded edge and a compact size, making it practical for everyday use in 1960s Britain. Even in circulated condition, its design details are recognizable, giving collectors insight into mid-20th century British coinage. In circulated condition, the 1963 sixpence is relatively common, as large numbers were originally produced. However, collector interest remains steady, especially for coins that show even wear without major damage. Coins with scratches, nicks, or corrosion are less desirable, but even heavily circulated examples can attract collectors completing a date set or seeking to own every issue of Queen Elizabeth II's early coinage. The coin's historical context, royal portrait, and pre-decimal status add value beyond rarity, making it appealing to both beginner and intermediate collectors. International collectors, particularly in the United States, often look for affordable pre-decimal coins, which keeps demand consistent. When it comes to auction market value, a circulated 1963 UK sixpence generally sells for around $123,000, depending on the coin's condition. Coins with moderate wear but clear details typically achieve prices on the higher end, while heavily worn or damaged coins may sell for less than $1. Coins with sharp detail, minimal scratches, and even toning can occasionally fetch slightly higher prices, but significant premiums are reserved for uncirculated or proof-like examples. Despite its modest market value, the 1963 sixpence remains a collectible piece due to its historical significance and charming design. If you're collecting the 1963 sixpence, avoid cleaning it, as polishing or abrasive cleaning can reduce its value. Store the coin in a protective holder to preserve its details and prevent further wear. When buying or selling, always compare recent auction results to get an accurate sense of value, rather than relying on fixed price lists. Pay attention to the clarity of the Queen's portrait and the reverse design, as coins with sharper features are more desirable. Finally, consider adding the sixpence to a larger pre-decimal British coin collection. Its value grows through historical context and completeness, not just rarity. In conclusion, the United Kingdom sixpence from 1963 in circulated condition may not be a rare or high-value coin, but it is a fascinating piece of British history. Its elegant royal portrait, symbolic reverse design, and connection to the pre-decimal era make it an enduring favourite for collectors worldwide. With auction values typically between $213,000, it remains an accessible and enjoyable coin to own. Whether you're just starting your collection or exploring historical coins, the 1963 sixpence is a small coin with a big story. Next up, the United Kingdom sixpence from 1966, specifically in dirty condition. While coins in pristine condition often grab the headlines, circulated and worn coins like this one tell a story of everyday life in 1960s Britain. In this video, we'll explore the historical significance of the 1966 sixpence, highlight its unique design features, discuss how collectors view coins in less than perfect condition, and examine its current auction market value in US dollars. Even a dirty coin can be an important collectible, and the 1966 sixpence is no exception. The sixpence, affectionately known as the tanner, has a long and storied history in the United Kingdom, dating back to the 16th century. By 1966, it remained an integral part of everyday commerce, valued at 6 old pence, or 1/40th of a pound. The 1966 issue was minted during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, at a time when Britain was transitioning socially and economically in the post-war era. This was just 5 years before decimalization in 1971, making the coin a part of the last generation of pre-decimal currency. Millions were produced for circulation, which makes it relatively common, but its age, royal portrait, and design still make it a compelling piece for collectors. The 1966 sixpence is made from cupronickel, an alloy chosen for durability after the pre-1947 silver coins were replaced. On the obverse, it features the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick, which was used on coins minted in the early years of her reign. The reverse showcases the classic crown design, incorporating a rose, thistle, shamrock, and leek, symbolizing England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. The coin has a reeded edge and a compact size, making it easy to handle and use in daily transactions. Even in dirty or circulated condition, the key details of the portrait and reverse design remain identifiable, giving collectors a glimpse into mid-20th century British coinage. While the 1966 sixpence is not particularly rare in general, coins in dirty or worn condition occupy a unique niche in the collecting world. Beginner collectors or those completing date sets often seek circulated examples because they are more affordable and historically authentic. Even heavily soiled coins can attract interest if the main details of the design remain visible. Coins that have been bent, scratched, or corroded are less desirable, but many collectors appreciate these coins for their story and character. They reflect genuine circulation and real-life history. Dirty coins can also serve as educational examples for those learning about grading and preservation in coin collecting in terms of auction market value. A 1966 UK sixpence in dirty or heavily circulated condition generally sells for approximately $216,000, depending on the degree of wear and readability of the design. Coins with significant dirt or corrosion may sell at the lower end of this range, while those that retain clear details despite being dirty can reach the higher end. Coins that are cleaned improperly or damaged further usually fetch less. Although the 1966 sixpence does not command high prices, it remains a sought-after piece for collectors aiming to complete sets or preserve examples of pre-decimal British coinage. If you own a 1966 sixpence in dirty condition, avoid aggressive cleaning, as harsh chemicals or polishing can reduce its value. Instead, gently store it in a protective holder to prevent further damage. Compare recent auction sales to get a realistic sense of its value before buying or selling. Pay attention to whether the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II and the reverse design remain legible. Even subtle details increase collector appeal. Collecting circulated coins like this one is a cost-effective way to build a pre-decimal British coin collection while appreciating the history each piece represents. In conclusion, the United Kingdom's sixpence from 1966 in dirty condition may not be a rare or highly valuable coin, but it is a fascinating artifact of British history. Its youthful royal portrait, symbolic reverse design, and role in everyday commerce make it a meaningful piece for collectors. With auction values typically ranging from 50 cents to $2, it remains accessible and educational, especially for those new to coin collecting. Even dirty coins have stories to tell, offering a tangible connection to Britain's pre-decimal era. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep exploring. Sometimes, even the most worn coins hide a piece of history in your pocket.